So the first thing you need to know are parallel lines. So what are parallel lines?
Straight up and down.
What's unique about parallel lines? They don't have to be right next to each other. What happens between them? They never meet or they never intersect. So two lines in a plane that never intersect or cross. So if you have parallel lines, do you agree that these two lines are parallel?
Yep.
Yes, they never meet, they never cross.
What is that?
In a plane that never intersect or cross. Perpendicular lines are lines that cross at right angles. And you can always tell it's a right angle because they're going to make that little box that's at 90 degrees. So you can tell that that is a right angle. Okay, so everybody should remember parallel and perpendicular lines, right? Not too hard. The next one is called a transversal. And a transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines. So if I look back at my perpendicular, could that also be considered a transversal? Can this picture of perpendicular lines also be considered a transversal? I'm seeing some yeses. Look at the definition. Intersects two or more lines. Does this perpendicular intersect two or more lines? No. This is the perpendicular line. It only intersects one line. So transversal, you have to have two lines and your transversal. Okay? Oh, okay.
Something that you had out here.
Yep, that's fine. Interior angles. These ones I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining right now because we're going to go back and look at a picture after all the notes. So interior angles lie inside parallel lines. Lie inside parallel lines. Okay, after that one, you're going to want to skip at least one line, if not two, because we're going to go back in and fill in examples of interior angles later. So at least skip one line. You can skip two if you want. Exterior angles. So if interior lie inside the parallel lines, what do you think exterior do? They lie outside parallel lines. Again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this right now because we're going to go back and look at it in the picture later. Again, skip 1 or 2 lines. The next one we're looking at is alternate exterior angles. So alternate exterior angles are exterior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. So on your project, when you're having to identify these, the nice thing about these is you already have to identify your exterior angles. So your alternate exterior gonna fall within those numbers, but then you have to figure out which ones are on opposite sides of the transversal. Again, seems confusing right now, but when you see some projects and you see what you're doing, I don't think it will be that bad. Okay. Again, skip a couple lines, and now we're going to look at alternate, bless you, interior angles. So if alternate exterior are exterior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal, what do you think alternate interior are? If we look at alternate exterior, they're exterior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. Well, they're still alternate interior, so they're going to be interior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. So if you notice, all of these so far rely on your parallel and your transversal. Okay? Because interior and exterior, they lie inside or outside the parallel lines. Alternate exterior, alternate interior rely on that transversal. So as long as you have a set of parallel lines and a transversal, you've already guaranteed to meet these 4 on your project. Identifying them will be a different story. That's where you'll have to take a little bit of time to look at it, to identify it. Okay? Questions so far? Everyone got those? Let's go on to corresponding angles. So corresponding angles are angles that are in the same position on the 2 lines in relation to the transversal. So angles that are in the same position on the 2 lines in relation to the transversal. So if I have 2 parallel lines and a transversal, and the first angle I'm looking at falls above the parallel line and to the left, then on the next parallel line I have to look above it and to the left. Again, we'll go through some of these examples when I give you a picture here in a minute. The next one we're going to look at, vertical angles. So vertical angles, opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines vertical angles are congruent. What's it mean to be congruent? I say vertical angles are congruent. What do you think that means? Ms. Prano, what's congruent? They're equal. Okay, so if I have one angle that's 36 degrees, if I look for the vertical angle, that's also going to be 36. So if you need to write the same behind congruent to know that that's what that means, you might want to do that. 3 more to look at. Next one, adjacent angles. So adjacent angles are angles that share a common vertex, a common side, and do not overlap. So they have to have a common vertex, a common side, and they cannot overlap. She is not here. Yep. And the next ones I know you've talked about. Complementary angles. Who remembers what complementary angles are? Nobody? I know you did this in 7th grade because I'm starting it today with them too. What are complementary angles? To what?
How many degrees?
90. So 2 angles that add to 90 degrees. This one you might want to put a star by because this is the most forgot about one on the project. Because this one you will have to create working with your perpendicular line.
What is the project?
You'll see in a minute. You have to have all these notes so it makes sense. Huh? I said, right now I'm giving you the definitions. We're going to look at a picture and we're going to go through and identify all of these. It's easier to see with a picture, but you need to know the definition of it. Alright, the last one, supplementary angles. So if complementary add to 90, what do supplementary angles add to?
180.
180. 2 angles that add to 180 degrees. So anything that's a straight line, if you've got angles by it, it's going to be your supplementary angles. Okay, so now if you have a different color or if you have a pen, This might help you to stand out in your notes, the picture part of it. So if you want to do it in a different color, that might help some of you. If you want to do it in pencil still, that's fine. So we're going to work with first our parallel lines. Okay, so here's our parallel lines. So I'm going to call this one X and this one Y. Okay, so back in your notes, parallel lines, if you want to label that X and Y, I'll show you here what I'm going to do. I'm just labeling it right underneath it in a different color so I can look at my picture and see what are parallel lines. So parallel lines are X and Y. The next one said I needed a perpendicular line. Perpendicular means I have to intersect at 90 degrees. So if I look here, I'm intersecting at 90 degrees. So this is my perpendicular line, and we're going to call that W. Okay, so when I look at perpendicular lines, it's going to be W and X or W and Y. Okay, because they're both considered to be perpendicular. Okay, so parallel, two lines that never intersect. Perpendicular intersects at 90 degrees. The next one is a transversal. So a transversal, the definition is a line that intersects two or more lines. Doesn't matter what degree I intersect them at. Okay? So if I go like this, that is considered a transversal, and I'm going to label that one Z. In this case, W could also be because it intersects two lines. But on your picture, you're going to want a separate one similar to this. Okay, so back under transversal, that is your line Z. Everyone see how we got those so far? Questions on your lines?
What's the perpendicular one?
Perpendicular would be W because it intersects. So W and X or W and Y because they intersect at 90 degrees. Okay? So I will tell you right now, just off those three, that covers the first three questions out of 12 on your project. So right there, if you can do that, that's a fourth of your project. Okay? Questions? Alright, now we need to go through and number your angles. So I'm going to start here, and this is going to be 1, 2, and then below 1 is going to be 3, and below 2 is going to be 4. Doesn't matter what I label them. I could have started with 20. I could have started with 100. I could have done letters. I could have done A, B, C, D. However you want to label them on your project will be fine. Below 3 is going to be 5. Then next to it will be 6. Below 5 will be 7. Below 6 will be 8. Okay, so we're just going to look at those first. So the next one on my list is interior angles. So interior angles have to lie inside my parallel lines. Well, here are my parallel lines. So what angles lie between my parallel lines? 3, 4, 5, 6. Everyone see that? My two parallel lines, the angles that fall between them, 3, 4, 5, 6. So under your interior angles, when you label angles, you put a little, looks like an L, but it's an angle symbol. Angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6. Okay, so let's look back at the picture. Now we need exterior angles. So exterior means I'm lying outside the parallel lines. So what angles fall outside the parallel lines? 1, 2, 7, 8, because there's my parallels. Outside of it, 1, 2, 7, 8. So again, angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, angle 8. You've now completed questions 1 through 5 on your project. Alright, next one, alternate exterior angles. So the definition says exterior angles that lie on opposite sides of the transversal. So exterior angles, I know I can't look at 3, 4, 5, 6 right now. Those ones are automatically out because those are interior. So I'm going to pick one of my exterior. So I'm going to say angle 1. Okay, now I'm looking at the opposite side of the transversal. So it's actually the diagonal of it. So 1 and 8 would go together. Opposite sides of the transversal, and they've got to be exterior. Okay, so 1 and 8, what would be another one?
2 and 7.
2 and 7. So your alternate exterior, you got to label them together. So angle 1 and angle 8, angle 2 and angle 7. Notice how I'm writing them so that they're grouped together. Because your alternate exterior, they got to be grouped. Alright, let's look back at your picture. Now, alternate interior this time. So now I'm just looking at these interior angles. So who thinks they can give me a pair of alternate interior angles? Serenity, what do you think? 4 and 5 would work. What else? 3 and 6. So again, writing them in pairs. So angle 3 and angle 6. And angle 4, angle 5. Questions on interior, exterior, alternate interior, alternate exterior. Alright, let's look at corresponding angles. So corresponding, say they fall on the same part of the parallel line. So somebody give me one of the angle measures. Doesn't matter which one. Which one do we want to look at first? Shout out a number 1 through 8.
Oh, 1 and 8.
2, thank you.
What?
So I said shout out a number between 1 and 8.
Oh, I thought you were like trying like the 1 and 8 or like the 2 and 7.
No. Okay, so if I'm looking at angle 2, it's an exterior angle that's on the right side of my line, right? So if I'm just looking at these 4 angles, I consider this to be the top and the right. Do you agree? If I'm just looking at these 4 angles, do you agree that it's on top of the line and to the right of it?
Yeah.
So now, look at these 4. Which one matches up to the top and the right of it? 6. So corresponding angles would be 2, angle 6. What would be another pair of corresponding angles?
1 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
No. 1 and 5.
1 and 5 would work. What's another one?
4 and 6.
Not 4 and 6. 4 and 8.
4 and 8.
And the last one? 3 and 7. Does that make sense how we came up with those? Okay, so if I'm looking at my picture, let's look at number 1. So on my line, it's above my line and to the left of it. Do you agree, Caden? So then look down at this picture. Which one is above the line and to the left of it? There you go. Okay. Vertical angles. Vertical angles are going to be diagonal from each other. So let's just look at this picture here, the 1 through 4. Which two angles are diagonal from each other? 1 and 4. So vertical angles would be angle 1, angle 4. What's another one? We're just looking at angles 1 through 4. I've got 1 and 4, 2 and 3. Okay. We could go through more on the bottom line, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Adjacent angles. They have to share a common vertex. So a vertex means that starting point. So again, I'm just looking at the top part. So adjacent angles, they have to share a common vertex and a common side. So if I look, I could say angle 1 and 2 share a common vertex, because right here is my common vertex and they share this side. So angle 1, angle 2 would work. But I could also turn it and I could say angle 2 and angle 4 would work, because there's that vertex still and they share this side now. So angle 2, angle 4. Would 3 and 4 be considered adjacent angles? Yes, angle 3 and 4 would. Would angles 1 and 3? Yes. Right? Complementary angles. Do I have two angles that add up to 90 degrees? Are there any two angles that add up to 90 degrees? So here's my 90 degrees, right? But that's only one angle. So what I could do is I could take and draw another line from there, and I could call this one angle 9 and that one angle 10. Do you agree now that angles 9 and 10 will add up to 90? Yeah, because I took a 90-degree angle and I'm cutting it apart. But I'm not taking anything else out of it, so complementary would be angle 9 and angle 10. Supplementary means they add up to 180. So find two angles that fall on the same line. Well, here's a line, so I could look at angle 1 and 2 would work. Okay. Your supplementary angles will probably fall pretty close to your adjacent angles. Okay. So angle 1, 2 would work. Angle 2, angle 4 would work. Angle 3, angle 4, or angle 1, angle 3. So this one, it matches up to our adjacent angles. So like I said, seems like a lot of information, but when I think you see some of these projects, I think you'll be okay.